Buenas tardes, por si alguien necesita intérprete, nada más levante su mano y yo le ayudaré.
Anna was letting anybody know that if they need help interpreting something into Spanish, she's available to do that tonight. Discovery Park is the perfect setting for an event like this. Not only is it a beautiful setting, but we're going to discover what the people of Laurel are all about as we go through this census journey together. I know that we're going to shine and we're all going to stand up and be counted. By now, I hope you've all had a chance to see the public service announcement starring Mayor Mo. He wasn't very happy with me when I made him get up in a bucket truck on Main Street, but with it in the rain to shoot this PSA. But it was really the perfect location because it gave a bird's eye view of why the census is so important, to provide resources for everybody in the view behind the mayor and beyond. So please, let's all have a warm welcome for Laurel Mayor Craig A. Mo.
Thank you all very much, and can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Let me welcome you and thank you all for attending the City Census Kickoff event for the upcoming 2020 count. Before I do that, I want to take just a moment and I want to introduce members of the City Council that are here with us, and if they would stand to be recognized. Our Council President, Fred Smalls. Our Council President Pro Tem Valerie Nicholas, Council Member Carl DeWalt from Ward 1, Council Member Keith Sidnor from Ward 2, and Council Member at Large Mike Les. So I want to thank them and thank them for all their hard work and making sure that we get a full count here in the city of Laurel. The census is very important to the city. It's how billions of federal dollars are distributed to communities like Laurel for roads, schools, and healthcare facilities. An accurate census count helps ensure fair representation at all levels of government. For those that may not know, we are required under the charter of the city of Laurel, when the census is done, for us to look at our numbers to make sure that representation is equally throughout the ward system that we have here. This event will be the first of many. The city will have a census table at the upcoming city events, and I will be doing the mobile mayor regarding census that will have to do with census. We'll visit apartment complexes, senior centers, and parts of the community to spread the word about the importance of the upcoming census. Furthermore, there will be a computer kiosk available at City Hall, and that's located on Sandy Spring Road for residents to complete their census form online. If you want to get involved, make sure everyone is counted, please sign up for our Census Ambassador program that we have. Stop by the table before you leave or contact my office. You'll have to fill out a little paperwork and we'll make sure you get a little gift. The gift is really a pin that says you're a Census Ambassador. It's a great program. We have a meeting coming up with some of those that are Census Ambassadors. So we encourage you before you leave tonight to take the opportunity to fill out that paperwork. For more information on the upcoming census visits, the city's 2020 website is www.cityoflaurel.org/census. Thank you again for coming. I want to thank the staff, members of our staff that are here. The one that's really doing all the work and coordinating all this, Christian Pulley. Why don't you stand up, take a little bow. So Christian is our contact, and she's been involved for several months now with county and state officials. So this isn't something that just started. We've had staff and council members involved for several months, and we're not done yet. So again, thank you all for coming out tonight and being here. And Audrey, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Mo. Now I'd like to recognize Terry O. Fisher. He's the Regional Census Partnership Specialist. representing not just Laurel, but many communities. Mr. Fisher?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As stated, my name is Terry Fisher, and I'm a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. You know, we're all here for a very, very important initiative. And as a partnership specialist, my job is to raise education and awareness about the 2020 census. The 2020 census will bring valuable resources to Prince George's County's neighborhoods and communities, resources that people that live here depend on every day. Our slogan for this decennial is that the census is easy, safe, and important. It's easy. For the first time in history, we'll allow constituents to self-respond via a very safe and secure online questionnaire. In addition, we'll also provide a dedicated phone line that they can call in their census responses. So in addition to those two options, we'll also continue to have our traditionally mailed questionnaires. So you'll have 3 ways to respond. Okay, so one of the things that we absolutely want our communities to know is that your responses are safe and secure. Your responses are protected by law. The U.S. Constitution guarantees that census data can only be used for statistical purposes only. It cannot be used for law enforcement, and it cannot be used to determine eligibility for any government or social services programs. So your responses are protected. Confidentiality matters to the Census Bureau, okay? And we also want you to know that it's very important. Census data will be used to distribute over $675 billion in federal funding. Federal funding for things like healthcare planning, education in schools, transportation, and transportation planning over the next 10 years. Since the 2020 census is of valuable importance to people in our communities. So I'd just like to take an opportunity to just congratulate the Prince George's County Complete Count Committee on this launch. But more importantly, I'd like to thank you all in advance for the hard work that you'll be doing to spread the word that the census is easy, safe, and important. I'd like to thank you all for having me here on today. Daniel Jones is the partnership specialist for Prince George's County, and I'm speaking on his behalf today. But again, I'd like to thank you and congratulate you all. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fisher. And as the mayor said, even though the census forms won't be rolled out until early next year, there have been hundreds and hundreds of people across the country who've been working to get everything ready so that communities across the country are counted. And in our area, we're pleased to have with us tonight Ms. Jordan Baucom-Colbert. She is the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission's 2020 Census Outreach Coordinator. And she's one who has really rolled up her sleeves and is making sure that Laurel gets counted. So please welcome Jordan to the stage. Thank you, Jordan.
Good evening, family. Thank you for having me. I'm a little short, so I'm gonna pull this down a little bit. You all have a wonderful group and crowd here, and I'm so happy to be a part of this monumental occasion. Again, I'm Jordan Baucom-Colbert. I'm the Complete Count Committee Coordinator, and since I started in May, we've been hitting the ground running. I want to give you a little bit of updates in terms of what the Complete Count Committee has been doing since then. Last year, Prince George's County participated in a LUCA program, which we updated addresses and businesses, and working in partnership with the U.S. Census Bureau to make sure that we had accurate addresses for when they go out and do some canvassing. So that was the first step. The Parks and Planning Commission has always been a part of that partnership, and they will continue to do so, so on and so forth. So starting in July, we had our first Complete Count Committee meeting and kickoff. The city of Laurel is a part of our Complete Count Committee, and we're so honored to have them as ambassadors and partnerships. We have about a robust list, a cross-section, about 13 subcommittees on our Complete Count Committee, and they represent various different audiences like our seniors, our homeless community, our international immigrant community. We have so many different varieties of subcommittees, but they're all relevant to a few of the things that help curb our community. And one is hard to reach areas. So in 2010, Unfortunately, Prince George's County had a small undercount. I won't say too small, but we had a slight undercount. About 2.3% of our population had a low response rate. So that means about 19,000, an estimated 19,000 residents were hard to reach or hard to respond. At the state level, we lost about $250,000 per person over the course of 10 years. That's really important and significant because that goes to roads, hospitals, schools, all of the livelihood things that we take into consideration on a daily basis. That's what that goes into funding. And so when we think about that, it's really significant and important for us to get ahead of the game in 2020. And so what that looks like in March, the Census Bureau has said that they will send a code to the mail and to the residents for them to complete their forms online or by phone. The Complete Count Committee, part of what we want to do is encourage our residents to complete it as soon as they get the code. Now, I've also been told that when we have our hubs and our call to action, which is in March, we'll have different areas set up for the libraries where you can go and to complete your forms, who we've partnered with. Each library in Prince George's County has designated some type of computer for residents to complete their forms. When they go and do that, if you don't have your code with you, you can still go and complete that form online. And that's very helpful for several reasons, because now the U.S. Census Bureau has ways for us to identify how well we're doing. So we can look at our different communities and say, hey, we need to do more outreach in these different areas. So it's very significant for us to get ahead of the game. Although April 1st is the official census day, we want to make sure that we're doing our part to reach our communities. Some of the things that I want to highlight in terms of working with our Complete Count Committee and our team is developing materials for individuals that don't really know about the census. So right now, if you go to pgcensus2020.org, we have a host of resources, frequently asked questions, and these questions come from the community. When we first started hitting the ground running, we asked as many questions as possible, and some of those questions you'll see on the frequently asked questions form. So they're very typical. We have one-page fact sheets, which you also have over here, that talk about some stats that are relevant to Prince George's County, some of the areas that are hard to count, and why we need to bump up our efforts to make sure we have a complete count. They're translated materials. The U.S. Census Bureau has offered translated materials, everything that we need to be successful. But the big ask that the Prince George's County Complete Count Committee would like is for people to be empowered to volunteer. So once a month, we just did one in the city of Laurel at the branch library. Once a month, we host workshops for residents to learn more about the census and to volunteer. I encourage you to join one of our workshops so that you can learn more about how to reach your community. I really, really appreciate you all having me today. I won't talk too much, but if you need to get in touch with us, the City of Laurel has been doing a really good job in terms of all of their outreach and materials. Please reach out to them, and then we still have the website for more information. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Before we take your questions, I wanted to ask Council President Fred Smalls, do you have anything you'd like to address to the audience? Okay, so now let me open it up to all of you out here. Are there any questions that you would like answered while we have the experts here? Yes.
So what kind of information would be requested to complete the census form? What would we need to... Jordan, why don't you come up here and answer the questions? Yeah.
So basically, we just want. Yes, could you repeat that? You just wanted to know basically what kind of information is requested on the questionnaire?
Yes.
So basically, we just want to know basic demographic information for everyone in the home. It should take about 10 minutes per person. If you have 3 people in the home, it should take up to 30 minutes. We're estimating that the median time is about 10 minutes. So we're just really asking for basic demographic information. We're not asking for any bank account number or anything that would be put you at risk. So we're just asking for basic demographic information.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, my question is, will there be delicate questions related to immigrants?
Well, the citizenship question, as it stands, has been blocked. So
I don't understand that.
So the citizenship question, whether you are a U.S. citizen or not, has been blocked by the U.S. Supreme Court. That will not be on the census questionnaire. Okay?
And Terry, that's important. It's important that people share that information with their neighbors and friends, because there's a lot of neighbors that don't have that information yet.
Absolutely. So, and that has been, for documented and undocumented citizens, that has been a source of fear and trepidation. So please put the word out that the citizenship question is, at this juncture, is not on the census questionnaire. And a sample of the questionnaire is on the census website, www.census.gov. You can go and look at a sample of the questionnaire.
Is it in Spanish, in Japanese, in Chinese?
Yes. So we are actually going to provide the questionnaire in 12 non-English speaking languages, including Spanish. We're also going to have translation guides in additional 59 language. Okay, and we're also going to provide a video for American Sign Language as well for people with disabilities.
One last question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just that it's a main concern for me. Will you be asking what race I am?
Yes, that is a question on
Then
there.
there's a problem there.
Mm-hmm.
Is the options that it gives you to determine what race you are, I don't fit in any of them.
So as advocates, and a part of what we're doing is we're encouraging residents to answer to the best of your ability. So we're not telling you omit any questions. We're not compelling you to answer any questions. Complete it to the best of your ability for your family. That is what we're asking residents to do, because what we don't want to do is we want to change the narrative. We want to make sure that as a county, our numbers are up. There are other counties, that money that we don't get, that goes to another county. It doesn't go back in the pot. So what we want to do is have these healthy conversations and remind you that if you feel as though that question is not relevant to you, complete it to the best of your ability.
Councilman Les has a question.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yes, so what you're speaking of, sir, is the American Community Survey, and that is a random sample that is done once a year, and that is different from the census, from the census, the 2020 census questionnaire that's done once a decade. We are going to use all sources to ensure that we have a 100% accurate national address list, so we will be using some of that data. But we still ask that you complete the 2020 census questionnaire.
If you were to take the census and leave answers incomplete or unmarked and turn it in, would it still count?
That is a very good question, sir. Thank you. Yes. We are encouraging every citizen to complete the entire form to the best of their abilities. But if you complete the form, it will. If you skip an answer, your form will count. Yes, it will. But we're encouraging everyone to avoid an enumerator coming out to your home to complete the entire form. Complete the form in its entirety to the best of your ability. Yes.
Can you extrapolate on that, please?
Yeah, so we are, as a part of our non-response follow-up, and as I stated earlier, we are giving the constituents an opportunity, you guys, an opportunity to self-respond 3 ways: online, phone, and through the traditional mailings. But if you don't complete the questionnaire in its entirety, or if you don't participate, an enumerator will come out to your home. Yes, and they will be identified with a U.S. Census Bureau ID. And we're asking constituents not to help the Census Bureau with collecting data, because the Census Bureau cannot protect data that we don't gather. Okay, so we just want to be very, very clear about that.
So we have had some hypothetical questions in terms of law enforcement, right? If you see someone come to your home and they're a enumerator, how should you respond? Well, I've been told by various U.S. Census Bureau representatives that the enumerators have been told that if you see law enforcement officers, that you just don't approach the unit or don't approach the residency, and you just come back at another time. So they have been trained and they've been told that this is what the process should be. They should have some conspicuous language to show that they're with the U.S. Census Bureau. So if you don't see any of those checklists, then, make sure that you act accordingly.
And employees of the U.S. Census Bureau will be identified by a U.S. Census Bureau badge. So if someone comes to your home and they're asking you for specific information, make sure that they present a U.S. Census Bureau badge. Okay.
So right now, for what they're doing is doing address verification. I started in August. I think it will end in October, or maybe it already ended in September. But some residents may have seen someone start to do some address canvassing. So you may see someone now doing some verification, but there are boots on the ground as of now to verify for the census in 2020.
Will any citizens get phone calls from the Census Bureau to complete any incomplete information, or to generally ask questions about them?
Yes. So again, we are giving constituents an opportunity to self-respond. We're trying to make this 2020 census enumeration as efficacious as possible. But again, as stated earlier, if you skip a question, if you don't respond, you may either receive an in-person knock on the door from an enumerator, or you may receive a phone call from a Census Bureau employee.
So to follow up on that, then how do you protect someone who receives a phone call from someone who is fraudulently calling to get certain information?
Yeah, so a Census Bureau employee will identify themselves as such. They will provide you with information from the regional census center that they are calling from, and so they will probably have vital information, and they will actually be able to provide you with a unique identifier number that was discussed earlier, and that way you will know that they are from the Census Bureau. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
When will the results of the census be announced?
The results of the census will be announced. So we actually have to provide reapportionment numbers to the president within 9 months of April 1st, 2020. So, and then we will actually also within 12 months of the census, which will be April 1st, 2021, we'll be providing the states with numbers for redistricting.
I do want to flag one important thing, and we always talk about dollars and cents because that gets people's attention. But what's really important, in addition to the numbers, is the congressional seats that you gain or lose. And so while we think about that in terms of how much federal funding we get, we also get a bonus in terms of representation. So when they know that we're here, we have an accurate count and a complete count of everybody, we have more seats in the Congressional House of Representatives. So I just wanted to flag that component too. In the wake of a general election coming up in 2020, everyone's going to be focused on many different things, but we do also need to remember that in addition to dollars and cents, we want good, strong representation, and we want as many seats as we can to represent the people of the city of Laurel and the county and the state as itself.
Ma'am, you had a question? Go ahead. Go for it.
My question is, so it's all online,
Yes.
and how is that data going to be then transmitted that is going to protect us?
Yes. So first and foremost, the Census Bureau is actually going to employ the most up-to-date cybersecurity measures in the industry. The data is encrypted. It is scrambled. As soon as you provide your information online, it is going to be gone. It's going to disappear. Okay. So we're doing everything in our power to protect the confidentiality and privacy of your personal information.
What is the minimum and maximum punishment somebody refuses to answer the census?
That's a great question. So Title 13 of the U.S. Code. So first and foremost, Census Bureau employees are sworn for life to protect your confidentiality. And we also face very stringent penalties. Title 13 also states that a Census Bureau employee can face up to 5 years in prison and a maximum fine of about $250,000. That's $250,000 fine.
If you have kids in college, how should you fill out the form? Do you fill it says everybody who lives in the house?
Yes.
How do you do that?
So what we tell our constituents is that wherever a person is up to 6 months in a day, wherever they spend the majority of their time is where they should fill out their form. If they're in college, we have a process called group quarters. They will be counted at the college that they live in. But if they live in housing or off-campus housing, then we're telling them if they have an apartment to be sure that they fill out a form for themselves. And if their parents fill out a form, place them on their form, we have a ways to adjust for duplication.
And that kind of goes for also multi-dwelling units. If I live in a basement and I share a home with someone else, we are encouraging residents wherever you are on April 1st, that's where you should be counted. And so that's kind of makes life a little bit easier in terms of how you want to count the people in your family.
You had a follow-up?
Yeah, it wasn't a follow-up. I think the question is, what if a person refused to answer the census? What is the minimum punishment and maximum punishment of the individual participant?
That's a great question.
Employee.
That's a great question. Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, the Census Bureau is not a law enforcement. First of all, as I stated earlier, it is mandatory. We are all responsible for completing the census questionnaire. I just want to make that absolutely clear. But the Census Bureau is not a law enforcement agency. So through partnership, we don't necessarily kind of focus on the punitive aspect of it, but we try to go out and speak about the advantages that the census has for our families and our communities.
Thank you.
You guys ready for the raffle?
Yeah.
Well, you getting cold?
Yeah.
All right.
Before they get too far away, I want to give Jordan and Terry a round of applause for answering all of our questions and for being with us tonight. Thank you both for coming out. We appreciate it.